All right. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to put something together of fat loss made simple. Okay. So we wanted something that you guys could take with that that we're giving you that could be implemented literally tonight. Okay. You don't have to go to the grocery store. You don't have to go buy product or whatnot, but things that you can implement right now. So what we have is a lot of the people that are on, if you have questions in the comments, we have a lot of the coaches in our network on. So if you have questions, you can post those in the comments. And I know a lot of our coaches would be happy to answer those questions, or we can answer them the best that we can as well. So I feel that that's where the most value comes, is when you ask a question and you get that answered. So this comes from, we're community partners with IU School of Medicine, and these slides are from Dr. Ruben Hernandez, or Dr. Hernandez. And when he was doing this presentation, his job was to deliver the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, actually, I got to deliver the good. He had to deliver the bad and the ugly. So medical complications of obesity, and I'm not going to harp on this, but I'm going to show just a few slides. I've been in this field for 20 plus years, and some of these slides, I was like, whoa, I did not even know that. So we all know, as far as, I didn't know this, life expectancy for the first time is going down. Now, our advances in medical advances are going way up. I mean, medicine, just think of how medicine has improved from now to 80 years ago. However, for the first time in human history, life expectancy is going down. So that's interesting. What does that correlate with? They're also starting to relate some cancers. This is another thing I didn't know. So IU School of Medicine and medicine period is starting to relate some cancers with obesity, okay? Type 2 diabetes, if you talk to a doctor that's maybe 65, 70, maybe retired, they would say they didn't even have a word for type 2 diabetes back in the day. They didn't even have diagnosed cases of 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds being diabetic. And now it is almost common to see type 2 diabetes, just not in adults. And a matter of fact, type 2 diabetes used to be called adult onset diabetes. When I went to school and I was studying, that's what they called it. They called it adult onset diabetes. Now it's no longer an adult disease because of obesity. Musculoskeletal, so things like gout, osteoarthritis. We have depression. This was another thing. IU School of Medicine just released in 2019 study. It actually just this past April, as far as depression and obesity. So the study's about a year old now, which is pretty new. And they're linking obesity to depression in the way our tryptophan and serotonin, this goes to inflammation. So we'll talk a little bit about that later. But typically we've seen obesity as a chemical imbalance, and now they're seeing it also a disease of inflammation, which ties into obesity and nutrition. Neurology, this is something that's kind of near and dear to me. My dad's in hospice for Alzheimer's. My grandma died of Alzheimer's. My uncle has Alzheimer's. So it's like, what is going on with our brain? And they're starting to come up with research that's linking our nutrition with a stroke, dementia, Alzheimer's, and so on and so forth. All right, so that's pretty much, that's all the time I'm going to spend on the bad and the ugly. But it's kind of like, why is nutrition so confusing? So tell me if any of this resonates with you.
All right, so we're going to go through this little slide here. Eat 5 meals per day and run. Also, eat only breakfast and dinner and walk. Also, eat lots of protein and lift. And don't even do any cardio. It's bad for your joints. Also, don't eat too much protein and make sure you're sleeping a lot. But don't be sedentary, but don't be too active. It's bad for your blood pressure. Make sure you replace all your lost salt, but never eat too much sodium. It's easy, just eat vegetables. Don't eat potatoes though, or corn. Fruit is obviously good for you, and also it's all sugar and is bad for you. Sugar, I forgot to mention, is a vital source of quick burning carbohydrates and that your brain needs to survive, and you should avoid it at all costs. Protein is hurting your kidneys. Make sure you eat a lot of it. Drink water. Never starve yourself unless you're calling it intermittent fasting, and then it's okay to starve yourself a little bit. Don't overhydrate. Being vegan is obviously the healthiest lifestyle, and also no, it's not. Fish is obviously super good for you, and it's full of mercury and killing you. Get some sun every day for vitamin D and skin cancer. So you guys kind of get the point here. Hopefully you're laughing on the other end of the Zoom. But what the heck, right? It's like, wait, what?
Is that not nutrition? And that's one of the reasons why we exist. So, and you might feel paralyzed because you probably resonated with a lot of those statements and you're like, dude, that is so true. What do I do with all these diets out there? So that's what we want to piece together for you right now. Okay, what is the answer? All right. And the way that the approach that we take is 3 pillars of proper human nutrition. This comes right out of our macromissionary level 1 nutrition certification manual. All right. So what are the 3 pillars, or what do you avoid? If something violates these 3 pillars, then it's probably something that you're going to see as a fad, or it's not going to be sustainable for you. So the 3 pillars are lifestyle. Okay. If someone says, hey, you can't eat this, you can't eat that, or this is bad, or you can't drink wine, or you can't have whatever it might be, and it violates your lifestyle. Hey, I'm Polish, born and raised. Someone tells me I can't eat a punchki on Fat Tuesday, I ain't following that. I'll follow it, for a week maybe. All right. Second, thermodynamics. That's just a fancy way of saying calories. There has to be a calorie balance. So if someone tells you, hey, you know what, you can eat anything you want, calories don't matter, as long as you eliminate this food group. That is not going to scientifically make sense. Okay. And then the third is inflammation. That's what a lot of like the macro people, they're like, hey, you can eat anything you want as long as it just fits your macros. And that might fit in with lifestyle. It might fit in with calories, but it may not fit in with balancing out your nutrient density or your inflammation. So let's kind of dive into how we can satisfy those 3 pillars. So the first is, it's important to understand just a little bit of science here. It's really important to understand that there are not good or bad calories. So what do you mean? People say that all the time. Oh, that's bad, that's good. Food or calories are not good or bad. They don't have souls. A calorie is the energy needed to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water 1 degree Celsius. Okay, so that would be defined as 4.18 and then some change joules. All right, so a calorie is a unit of energy or a unit of measurement. So to say that 1 calorie is worse than another would say, well, there's good inches because this ruler is made of gold and this ruler is like one of the old wooden ones and it has bad inches. No, they both measure an inch. Okay, so calories is what our bodies understand, and they kind of fuel the energy systems of the body. So, okay, cool. So we have our 3 pillars. We have lifestyle, we have inflammation, which Erica's going to talk about in a little bit. All right, well, how many calories do I need? Okay. And total daily energy expenditure, or what we call TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, is a bit of a moving target, but I want to give you guys some actionable things. I don't want to be one of those people that's like, well, it's different for everyone. Is it different for everyone? Yes. But if you want a good actionable step to take away tonight, and you're thinking, all right, hey, I want to lose some fat, I got to get this weight off, I have this inflammation. If you're a man, body weight times 11. That's going to get you in the ballpark. Okay, now any of our nutrition coaches or any nutrition coach can kind of zero that down for you, look at your lifestyle factors and so forth, but that will absolutely get you in the ballpark, body weight times 10. For women, it would be, men, body weight times 11. For women, it would be body weight times 10. Okay, now again, that's to lose body fat. That wouldn't necessarily be to maintain, and that definitely gets you in that ballpark. All right, so now we're going to kind of talk about, cool, on the calories. All right, so can I just eat, Wendy's as long as I stay in those calories? Well, if your only goal is to lose fat, you can. They've done plenty of studies. They did a Twinkie study, guy ate nothing but Twinkies for 30 days and lost fat, and good for him. However, A, that probably is not sustainable, as good as it may sound. But B, we want you to think of the other 2 pillars, the inflammation, okay, and the lifestyle. So where those calories should come from. Now, again, this is a little bit generalized, but I want, again, you guys to have some good key takeaways. So we like 40%, or just think, you don't have to get the calculator out or whatnot, but when you look at your plate, the small majority is protein, or maybe you look at your day, okay? Then you have carbohydrates and fats is kind of equal to each other, okay? Now, fats are 9 calories per gram, so they pack a lot more punch than proteins and carbs, which are 4 calories per gram, all right? So once you have kind of your caloric number, you've done okay, body weight times 10, female body weight times 11.
Tippy, this is fucking ridiculous.
All right. Then you can say, cool, I'm gonna take 40% of that, and that's gonna be my calories from protein. And really the other two, you can kind of interchange. Okay, so the 30-30 on carbohydrates and fat, you can kind of just look at it as a calorie bank and eat the foods that you love, all right? So some of you might be thinking, well, why are we giving special or preferential treatment to protein? And a big thing to realize is if a little bit more protein violates your lifestyle, okay, maybe that you just didn't grow up eating a lot of protein, totally cool. That's fine. Anyone can work with that. You can work with that. But we kind of veer a little bit on the higher protein side. It's a lot higher than the government RDA, but a little bit higher on the protein side as a percentage, because protein has been shown to help control hunger. It's very thermogenic. What that means is if I ingest 100 calories of protein, my body is only going to realize or assimilate 75 of those calories, okay? So it takes a lot of work and energy for the body to assimilate and digest and break down protein into calories that we can use for energy. So it's 25%. Some research says as high as 30%. Okay, so it's kind of like a win. 100 calories, I only realize 75 if they're from protein. Fats and carbs also are thermogenic, but it's not as high as 25%. It's like 4% for fats and 7% for carbs. It can be used as an energy source. All calories can, so protein can be turned into carbohydrate pretty easily. It's an essential macronutrient, so that means that you cannot live without it. Okay, so protein and fat are essential. You cannot live long-term without them. And it helps maintain or build muscle, particularly in stressful environments. So if you're a stressful environment, would be like if you're working out, maybe working late and so on, it will help you maintain, or in certain circumstances, help you build muscle. So that's why we like to veer a little bit on the side of a little bit higher protein. So if you're working with someone or you're saying, okay, cool, I got it, but I eat tons of protein. This is what we hear a lot. So here are some 4 protein sources that we're going to do a little quiz for you. All right. So we have beef, 90-10 beef. Okay. So it's 90% lean beef, 10% non-lean. All right. Then you have grandma's egg. Okay. So just a regular whole egg. We have fat-free skim milk. I love that one. My mom used to always say, drink your milk for your protein. Okay. Was she right? And then we have like Starbucks is getting aboard of some of this protein research, and they're like, hey, we're gonna do these protein bowls. All right. So we have a chicken in quinoa. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
It works.
Yeah, but anyway, a chicken in quinoa protein bowl from Starbucks. Okay. So is the consensus that these are all protein sources by percentage of calories? So are the majority of calories in 90-10 lean beef protein, majority of calories in fat-free skim milk protein, eggs protein, and the Starbucks protein bowl? I mean, they better be in the protein bowl, right? It's labeled protein bowl. All right, so what if we get to our awareness, is that true? Well, the beef 90-10 is 53% fat. Doesn't make it bad. It's just if we're trying to be more cognizant of getting a little bit more protein in, something that's not the majority protein may not be the food source that we would want to look at, okay? We do 90-10% beef all the time. It's awesome, good, it's not a bad food. But if I was being cognizant of getting in more protein, I don't know if that would be my go-to. All right, was mom right? Mom said, drink your milk for your protein. Does milk contain protein? Sure, 40%. It's actually 60%, so the majority of it is sugar or carbohydrate. All right, next up, grandma's egg. My grandma used to say it all the time. Eat your eggs. I want you to grow up and be big and strong. Was grandma correct? Egg is 33% protein, 62% fat. And the Starbucks protein box. I love the marketing there. It's a protein box. Hey, my coach, my doctor said I need to eat more protein. 2 protein boxes, please. The Starbucks protein box comes in last place at only 25% protein. That bad boy is 39% carbs and 36% fat. Am I saying that not to get it? Absolutely. I'm sure it tastes amazing. I'm sure it's great and it can absolutely be fit in your lifestyle. But if you're saying, hey, I want to eat a little bit more protein, you know, I'm not getting really enough as I need. Okay, I want to eat this more thermogenic nutrient. That probably wouldn't be my go-to source. Okay, so that's where awareness comes. We want you guys to be woke. We want you guys to be aware of what you're putting in your body, because a lot of times when people are eating foods, they think they're putting one thing in their body when they're actually putting in something else, okay? And then, you know, protein powders, same, the majority of protein powders are gonna be majority protein, not all, okay? So that's why definitely checking the food label is a plus. And that's just being aware. You might say, you know what? I like this protein powder better, even though it's majority carb. I'll get my protein from other sources. Totally cool, all right?
All right, so now we're talking about, you know, getting a little bit more protein in and kind of watching where our food sources come from. What about the weekends? What about the Memorial Day weekend we just had? Or we're here in Flora, Indiana, for those of you that know where that is, for my cousin's graduation party, right? There was cake and pulled pork and fruit trays and whatnot. And we're going to spend the weekend at the lake, so there may be some drinks involved. So how do you plan for the weekend and life? And we talked about those 3 pillars, and one of them was lifestyle. And if you're following a plan that eliminates things like this, how long will you follow that? That's something that you need to ask yourselves before you get started with a coach or before you get started on a plan. If it doesn't work in your lifestyle, you're not going to last very long. And then what do? We feel like a failure, right? And our cycle starts all over again. And so what we want to coach and what we want to help people to understand is that your lifestyle can, your plan, your nutrition can fit into your lifestyle. So that way you can continue throughout life. So what we do is we just plan for the weekend. We plan for the celebration. So if we know like tomorrow we might be eating a larger caloric intake because we're going to be eating out or, you know, doing a cookout or whatever it is, then today or maybe Sunday, we'll eat a little bit less, right? So we'll kind of balance out those higher intake days so that it doesn't screw the pooch and we're not starting over again every single Monday. And so that's kind of what we like to teach is a weekly average. And all of our coaches on the line, they follow that guideline as well because it works. Your body doesn't know if you're eating on a Monday or a Friday, right? It just knows on a weekly average, like, hey, I'm under the calories that I'm burning and I'm gonna lose some body fat. And that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, absolutely. So what about some key takeaway foods? So Erica's about 70%, I always say midway through, but it's about 70% of her PhD in holistic nutrition. And, you know, food sources does count, okay? So she's gonna kind of dive into, hey, can you have some beers or several beers? Sure. Can you have some cake? Sure, you can. But it's not just all about, hey, be more aware of protein, be more of calories. We have to look at that third pillar, which was nutrient density or balancing inflammation. Yeah. So what foods are kind of the best for helping us balance that inflammation?
Absolutely. So these are some really good sources you guys can see on the screen. These sources of protein are almost pure protein, right? Almost. It's hard to find pure protein, but chicken, shrimp is a very good source, tuna, lean ground beef. And what we do is like, we tend to buy 96.4. That's a little bit more expensive. That might not work for your budget, but you can still do like 93.7 or even 90.10. Like we mentioned, it's a little bit more fat than protein, but it's still a great source. So just start to learn how to read food labels, and that's going to help you decipher if this is truly a protein. I always get a good chuckle, and I travel a lot for my company, and one of my friends, every time we get off the plane, she's like, oh, I'm just so hungry. I just need some protein. And I was like, okay, cool, let's go get some protein. And her source of protein is always like a burger at a restaurant in an airport. I'm like, but that's not really protein, right? They're not serving you the lean protein in your restaurants. Nothing wrong with it, but it's about being aware. So move over to the fats, right? We've heard this, well, that's a good fat, so it makes it okay for me. Well, Jesse mentioned that fats are 9 calories per gram, so they're a little bit higher than your protein and your fat, so you need to be aware of them. Because if you're eating majority of fat, you're probably eating more calories than your body needs. These are great fat sources that are going to help with the inflammation, because we mentioned not only lifestyle, not only the calories, but also we need to control our inflammation. Inflammation is a gateway to disease. So we need to make sure that we're not constantly living in a state of inflammation. And these are some great fat sources. Again, there's no good or bad fat, right? Almond butter, I could eat my weight in peanut butter if I was allowed, if it fit into my day. But there's some really good sources on here: eggs, walnuts, chia seeds, coconut oil. Definitely some good sources to throw in intermittently into your normal routine. And then if you go to the carb sources, this is at Andy's food list, and we can get this to you guys if you get with any of the coaches that invited you. They have this. Oh, and it's in your guide that you're going to get for free. So there you have it. But what this does is it lists carb sources on a scale of 1,000 all the way down to 1. So at 1,000, you have kale and collards, and at 1, you have Coca-Cola, right? So this is telling you the nutrient density of that carb source. And so you want to roll with the higher sources, because nutrients is important. Your carb sources are important. So get your, mom says eat your greens. Well, mom was right. Got to eat your greens. Fruits and vegetables is a very good source. And in my studies, one of the things that they've studied is soil depletion. And if you guys haven't heard about this, they did a study back in the 70s, I believe. And it was a plot of land out in California, and they studied the soil, and one bowl of spinach got you the nutrients that you needed for the day. They studied it again 30 years later, and you would have had to eat in something like 17 bowls of spinach to get the same nutrients that you would have gotten 30 years prior. And we're already 20 years from that study. So you guys, our soil is depleted. We're not getting the nutrients that we used to. So we need to be mindful of that, is what we're trying to tell you here. And if you don't like the greens, right, there's a lot of people out there. We've coached grown men who gagged at the thought of eating vegetables. Find some helpful tips. There's so many ways that you can sneak in those greens, like throw it in shakes and things like that where you can't taste it. But definitely make sure you are mindful of these types of food sources.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what a good coach will do, is they're going to help you balance really that third pillar. Because up to this point, what did we learn? We learned, okay, it's got to fit my lifestyle. So guess what? If you like gluten and you don't have any medical issues with gluten, which less than 1% of the population does, then cool, you're good to go. Or if you like milk, and there's no medical reasons why you shouldn't drink milk, which would be extraordinarily rare, awesome, drink the milk. So basically, whatever your lifestyle foods are, you like grandma's cupcakes, eat grandma's cupcakes. Okay, so it's got to fit in that lifestyle. Number 2 is it has to be calorically balanced. Okay, and a lot of it is just awareness. We just want you to be aware of what that calorie number is. It will kind of change day to day, or week to week, or season to season. But as long as you're aware of it, then you now are empowered. You can say, you know what? I'm going to eat 3 of grandma's cupcakes, or you can say, you know what? I'm going to eat 1. And then what Erica just talked about is balancing the inflammation. So basically, if you're going to say, you know what? I'm good. I've got 2,000 calories to spare, which we've done this. I'm gonna have several Bud Lights, and I'm gonna have whatever else. Okay, that's gonna throw up, because those are very non-nutrient dense foods. The body will use the calories just the same, but they're very non-nutrient dense. So you would want to sandwich those. So whenever you're going to go out or enjoy life or enjoy grandma's pie, you're gonna want to sandwich that with these higher Andy food sources and higher anti-inflammatory foods before and after. So, when we go out on cruises or whatever, and we're just there to have a good time, we're not there to be macro people or whatever, before we go out for the night, I'll have really, really nutrient dense meal, like a really dense salad. I might even order 2. And that way I wake up the next day feeling good, feeling refreshed, not feeling like a bloated seal, and so forth. So that's kind of how you're going to balance out that inflammation piece while you're living your lifestyle in a caloric balance. All right, so getting into how you want to kind of identify yourself. A lot of us identify, and this is how we're going to keep the body fat off. Okay, this is the difference between a diet and sustainability. is how do you identify yourself? So I am a healthy person, okay? That's what I'm saying, okay? You could be like, well, anyone can say that. I can say I'm a healthy person. Yes, then you want to give evidence that you're a healthy person. What is a healthy person? What is the evidence that you would give your left brain in this case is, hey, I keep a food log. I know what I'm putting in my body. I know that 90-10 beef is majority fat, and guess what? I eat it anyway. That is an actionable item that tells your left brain that you are a healthy person, okay? So you will adopt those healthy behaviors. Instead of saying, I want to lose 30 pounds or I want to fit in a size 4, say, I want to be an energetic parent, okay? We're going to do a lot more for our kids than we would do for us. Sitting in a size or fitting in a size 4, awesome, dude, go do it. But we typically would rather be doing something for one of our kiddos, being an energetic parent. So switch your goal statement to something that benefits those around you, and it will 10x your results and your sustainability. So I am a healthy person. That means I'm a more productive employee. I'm a more productive father. I'm a more productive coach, more productive entrepreneur, whatever it might be. Or I am a growth-driven person. So instead of saying like, I want to be a great bodybuilder, I want to be a great CrossFitter, I want to be a great soccer player, all those things could end. I mean, COVID could cancel your soccer season. You know what I'm saying? Now you're like, oh my gosh, I no longer have an identity. Yeah, I no longer have this identity. We see this a lot with athletes. So instead, say, I'm a growth-driven person. That's what I say, and I'm able to rock and roll with some bands in the garage and keep that growth going. Evidence actions are what I just mentioned. Knowing your boundaries. Where are your boundaries? We know our boundaries, and sometimes we say, we're going to go out of bounds. Hopefully no one's looking. We know them. It's not, we don't wake up Monday morning and be like, what happened? That's baloney. I'm so frustrated. I hardly ate anything at all. No, we know our boundaries, and we know if we exceed them. I know what I'm putting in my body. I mean, if a doctor gives you a pill, you want to know exactly what's in that bad boy, right? What's the same way with food? We want you to be aware of what you're putting in your body. I love the questions that are coming. And Danielle, thank you. Danielle is the CEO, owner of Crying in My Cheesesteak. So she's answering a lot of those questions. Awesome. Love it. All right. So here's what we're going to kind of close with. Some of you might be on, be like, dude, okay, cool. I kind of know that I know a lot of this. Or some of you might be intrigued, or some of you might be like, whoa, all right, I'm gonna get started with body weight times 10, body weight times 11. I'm gonna adopt some of those food lists. Again, we'll give you this entire manual for free. Just ask the coach. But what is a coach going to really do? Like, what is the nutrition coach really gonna do for you, okay? Well, they're gonna help you with your awareness, okay? When you're putting, say you're drinking a protein powder, and you're like, hey, I got this protein powder, it's high in protein. They're going to be able to look at that and be like, actually, that is a sugar and fat shake. We can fit it in, totally cool, it's not bad. But now you're like, oh, I didn't even like the taste of it. My father-in-law, who we're going to be meeting for dinner here, he was putting extra cheese on his Subway because he's like, I need like extra protein, so just an awareness thing there, okay? Second is they're going to help you manage how much responsibility you take on. If you're a busy mom and you're reading this book and it's like you're going to weigh your food, you're going to count macros, come on, let's get real. That book might make it sound really exciting, but a good coach is going to help you manage your responsibility. You probably are very busy. You have a lot of stresses. A good nutrition coach gives you enough to stay growth driven or goal driven, but not so much that you're like, oh my gosh, forget this. Are you kidding me? All right. Third, education. You should constantly be learning. And isn't awareness kind of a form of education? When we become more aware, that light bulb goes off and we're like, oh, I get it. And probably one of the biggest things is accountability. I mean, I have a nutrition coach, and I'm giving a seminar right now. I don't even know if I should say that, but
every good student has
yes, 100 for the accountability. Yeah. Okay, the accountability is huge. So a good coach will help you live in harmony with food. A good coach does not have, I'm just gonna let you guys know, it is not within the scope of a nutritionist or a nutrition practitioner to tell you what you can or cannot put in your body. that's not within their scope. Now, if you're dealing with a physician, they got blood work and they're like, hey, you got a diagnosed allergy, do not eat this food or do not eat shellfish or whatever it might be. Okay, but if you're looking to get help in the nutrition realm and they're saying, hey, here's your bad food list, okay? We're not telling you any bad food list, and that's beyond their scope as well. There are no bad foods. Now, again, we shared with you some nutrient-dense foods to help you cope with some of the foods that maybe aren't as nutrient-dense that fit into your lifestyle. We call that living in harmony with foods. So living in harmony with foods that you love while living a growth-driven, goal-based lifestyle. Okay, so it's just, it's just not going to be like rolling around in cupcakes. I'm in harmony.
I wish.
You know what I mean?
I am Cupcake. He keeps saying those things.
We want you to live a goal-driven and goal-based lifestyle.
And I can tell you guys from personal experience doing the whole can't eat these things, right? That was what I got back in the day. And having this model, having the awareness and the education, it's so freeing. It's liberating to look at a plate of food and no longer think like I'm bad because I'm eating this cupcake, or I'm bad because I'm, whatever. Now I can make those choices, right? And so that's huge in that lifestyle piece of all of this.
Yeah, 1000%. 1000%. And here's the thing, a good coach should provide you many, many tools. If you walk into a gym, they have bands, they have PVC pipe, they have weights, they have machines, they have cable machines. So there should be many, many tools for them to try. Macros or macronutrient-based nutrition is a tool. It's a tool that's worked very successfully for Eric and I. It's not the tool for everyone, okay? Not at all, but it is a tool in the arsenal. So a lot of times coaches will try to domesticate you on what works for them. Well, they could have grown up in Georgia and you live in Alaska. So what works for them is not going to fit with your culture, with your beliefs, with the foods that you were brought up on. So they should have a tool that fits you in your situation. So awesome. Well, I appreciate everyone that has come on. I'm going to just see if there's any questions that our coaches did not get back to. It looks like a lot of them.
I think Eric and Danielle are on it.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah, I love it. So, hey, we appreciate it. We definitely encourage you to talk a little bit deeper into how the coach that invited you on tonight's call can help you, and definitely make sure that you get your free guide from them. You guys have an amazing rest of your weekend, living in harmony with food, leading a goal and growth-driven lifestyle.
Thanks for being on, guys. Have a great night.